All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special screening. I'm honored here to be with the director and producer team of this film. Brett and Donna are here, and then as well as Bobbi Jo herself. You guys can take a moment and say hello if you'd like.
Hi everybody.
Hey everybody,
Hello.
thanks for watching our film.
Yes.
We're so excited to jump into this Q&A and just follow up the film with a discussion with both of them. My name is Ruth Schmidt, and I'm one of the co-directors of Real Spirituality. That's the film initiative at the Bren Center with Fuller Theological Seminary. And I'm also the co-director, or one of the director of operations for the Brem Center as well. So we're just so glad you're here. If you want more information about the Brem Center, we're at fuller.edu/Brem Center. And then if you want more information about the film that you just watched, go to thebobbijomovie.com and you'll find more information about that. This film, you got a sneak peek behind the scenes, guys, but this film opens to the public on February 16th. So that's tomorrow. And you can share it with all of your friends tomorrow. It'll be available on all streaming platforms. So please share the film and tell friends about it. So we're going to jump into a short Q&A here and just get some information about how this film was made, and then just the story of Bobbi Jo's life and the service that she has poured out and the love she's given to the people of Kansas City. I'm a Kansas City native. I just actually moved to LA 3 years ago. So when I heard about this story, I was so excited to do this interview. So I'm just curious a little bit about how, Brett and Donna, how you met Bobbi Jo, how you built that relationship, how you heard about the story, and then when were you like, okay, this is the documentary I want to make?
Well, I went to see Bobbi Jo speaking at a meeting. I went to see her speak up at church right up the road, and she proceeded to just blow my mind with her testimony. I mean, it was just, just one thing after the other. I mean, I was just like, this is an incredible story, and I immediately knew I wanted to make a film about Bobbi Jo. I thought people needed to see this. They needed to hear from her. I needed to find out more about it and meet some of the people around her at Healing House. And I needed to know a whole lot more about the operation and what she built. And I went up to her after the meeting at standing room only. I mean, people were just blown away, and went up to her afterwards and she said, come on down, honey, come on down, and I'll take you around. I'll show you all around everything. And I was like, okay. And I blew it off for a while and didn't, because I wasn't committed. We had some other things going, and it just kept coming up. I got her book from her, and I was like, I got it. I read the book, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I got a film crew, went down there for 3 hours, put her on film, came home, started cutting it together. Of course, she entertained us the whole time, and we really got our feet on the ground and got to see what she's actually doing and what she's actually building, and saw the neighborhood. And that is just inspiring. You just say, well, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I read her book. And I got a lot of the story from her in 3 hours, and we cut together like a 3-minute piece, 3 or 4 minute piece of film. And she's just dynamic as could be on film. And that energy came off. And I said, we got to do this. And we started devoting our time to it. And we went down and met more people and were more inspired. And it was just an inspiration every single time I went down. I got to get back down to Healing House and see what's going on, and you saw the people in the film. They're the best characters ever, they're my people. They're just soulful and as real as it gets. I knew that these people were speaking truth to me, and it was powerful truth. And it was, they told me their stories, and they shared them with me, and they weren't afraid to share them with me. And like, this is it. This is what I went through. And this is, it was the dark to light story that I just kept needing to hear over and over and over. And that propelled this whole thing. It just, meeting her, hearing her story was the seed that was planted. And then the energy just moved on from there. And I couldn't stop making the film. And I roped my wife into working a year and a half with me on this thing. And we're still going to town on it. We're doing this marketing now, and it's still fun. It wasn't work. Like, it wasn't, there was hard work, but we enjoyed it. We felt propelled to do it.
Yeah, there's definitely a hopefulness that came off the screen. And I can see how once you heard her story, it would be something you'd want to continue to dig into because it is so life-giving. Bobby Joe, was there for you watching your story played back to you on screen? What was your initial thought and what was that like? Because it was film is heavy. It's a lot of revisiting of probably some things that were obviously very difficult for you.
Well, when we were filming it, there were periods of time. I shared my testimony many times, and I believe God gives me the ability to share my testimony without any shame. So to help others, and let others know that if He could bring me out of the darkness, He's there for everybody. He's accessible for everyone. And there were times when we were talking about it that filming and sharing personal stories, sometimes I would get a little caught up emotionally, and it's different when you're sharing it on film than when you're sharing it in a room full of people in recovery. And but you know what, I know after viewing the film, I can see the impact that it makes on people, and that's what it's all about. I mean, I share in the movie that one thing I didn't have when I was homeless and out there in the streets is I became an it, and I was without hope, and I really didn't think I should be breathing the same air as everybody else. And this film really lets us all know we have purpose, and there is a plan for our lives, and that there is hope. And no matter how far down the scale you've gotten or what you're doing in your life, to me, it's not just about recovering people, it's about all of us. What more can we do? And so I think it just outpours love and hope. And that's my two favorite words are those two. And I think it shows that very, very impactfully.
Yeah, absolutely. Those were the two words that I kept jotting down when I was taking notes. I was like,
Yep.
yes, this is this
Yes.
is the hope that we need right now. Donna, what about you? You were the producer on this film. I'm sure this story impacted you as well. What's something that you think you're going to take away from this?
Well, um, it impact your words of impact and Bobby Joe's. It's this film. It started with that 3 hour interview, and then it was like almost every day my husband would go and come back and so excited and enthusiastic. You can't believe I met this person, you'll never believe this story, Donnie, you'll never believe this. And it was growing so quickly. And I was trying to staff us up, behind the scenes and edit suites in our basement and all kinds of things, and just trying to kind of catch up to his passion and what was going on. But it's like that sense of purpose that you have with a project like this. I mean, it was just so amazing to be involved. And I think that it's a blessing. It was a blessing for us to for Bobby Joe to have entrusted us with her story, and to be able to, I mean, we were just trying to do well by her, do well by these people, do well by their stories, represent them accurately and adequately, and all of that. And so it was there were challenges, but it was like every day you just got out of bed and it was like, this is what we're doing. And it was inspiring, and we were grateful. We're really grateful for the opportunity to be involved in this. It just seems it's just a blessing.
It's a blessing in a couple of ways because we did a lot of television commercials, and that was selling things.
Right.
And we wanted to do something with more meaning from the heart that really meant something. And it's very close to me because I'm in recovery, and people need help. So, yeah, I mean, people need somebody. Some people don't have family.
Yeah.
And they don't have a way out, and they don't know another way out.
Yeah.
And we saw a way out for people, and it's just moving to see people get their lives back. You know,
Absolutely.
that's what's just watching one person get their life back is amazing. And it's happening on a grand scale down there. And so that's the energy that comes from it. And I think that comes through on the film. To actually go down there though, I don't know if we were able to capture what you get when you walk into the hall and everybody's, hey, and it's pretty remarkable. And that's why it's growing and expanding. And I just hope the film helps it grow and expand and get into other people's hearts and makes us all feel this way, that I got to reach out and help my fellow man. I got to help that person up.
Yeah.
I'll reach out and help them up. So
Yeah, it is a pretty powerful testimony of what one person can do when they decide, I'm just going to be available and see what the Holy Spirit wants to do. And you mentioned, Brett, you mentioned family and people not having that family. And one of the themes that I wrote down when I was watching this is that people were allowed to have like almost a chosen family, like they got to opt into a new family. And, you know, and a lot of people need that for many different reasons. And one of my favorite quotes, Bobby Joe, that you said is, it's not just about housing. And I jotted that down immediately. And I think there's something often, not every Christian, but sometimes Christians can get in the mindset that it's just about, you know, someone's soul or their spiritual walk, but you address the holistic person, and that the body is healing bodies is part of God's work as well. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that and how you've seen helping bodies how that's also helped souls, and that connection, how people are holistic in gospel work.
So when I started, it took about 1.5 years to name Healing House. And people kept saying, name it Bobby Joe's house. Or I'm like, no, that's not very original. And so people were coming, and of course they were physically broken. And but I see much more than that, you know, much more than just getting clean clothes on somebody's back and their belly's full and providing this safe environment. What I seen was God was healing people through this place, not only physically healing, but the emotional and the spiritual. And he was grabbing hold of them. And, you know, I always say this, you're born into a family, and then this is our opportunity for a God-given family. Yeah. And this is our God-given family. And the thing that happens here is just miraculous. You see people come in and there's like no light behind their eyes. And within a matter of a week, you start seeing a spark. And then before you know it, this person is transforming right before your very eyes. And I mean, having this loving, supportive family and community around a person that has felt so worthless. You know, one of my struggles was when I came to hear about God early in recovery. I didn't think God would want anything to do with the person like me. I'm too vile. I've been a liar, cheat, thief. I've been all these awful things. God doesn't want anything to do with me. And when I really figured out that that's why Jesus went to the cross, was to wash us clean and to so we could be free, and that we could have forgiveness, and that I didn't have to carry that burden around with me like a cinder block around my neck, that I did have some value and some worth. And that's what happens here, is people see that they have value, they have worth, and that they are somebody, and God's going to mold and shape them to be the person that he intended for them to be. And so, yes, it's just, I'm the most blessed woman in the world. I get to do every day what I was created to do. This is what I was created for, is to help other people. And of course, I had to do a lot of learning lessons along the way. But you know what? There's something to be said about that, because everybody can relate to me that comes through the doors. I haven't met anybody that was as messed up as I was, which gives everybody hope. But the thing is that there's a trust that's there, because they know I've walked in those shoes and that they can really relate to me. And so the restorations of hope and life and change are all here.
Mm.
And it's not just, I mean, God has really shown us every component that we need to be addressing. And it's not just housing, it's not just health, it's a combination. And when you say holistic, sometimes you think, oh, is she going to break out in a chant? Ooh, no. Holistic to me is addressing mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here.
I wonder if we could go back a little bit and talk about some of your story. There was a lot in there. And one thing that grabbed my attention was just that moment when both of your parents had passed, and it was a very hard time for you. And you described that kind of being a very real turning point in
Yes.
your life. And I was just thinking about how right now a lot of people are losing family. You know, we're watching this film in the context of our nation going through COVID and people experiencing loss, and you know, the rates of substance abuse are up in our nation right now, and so is you know, suicide. And I just, that moment of you pushing through and not turning to a numbing substance, but instead feeling your feelings and then inviting God into your feelings and
Yes.
walking through that. Could you talk a little bit about that and just the power of that moment?
Yeah, I think that I had lots of fillers in my life, people that filled voids throughout my whole life. Either it was a substance filling voids, or it was a man, or certain people. And when all those are stripped away, you stand at that point of total nakedness, naked of your spirit, naked of everything. And at that point, I had really nothing around me. And I thought, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Because all my security nets and all the people I relied on throughout my life, and what I considered important people in my life, it appeared that all of them were gone at the drop of a hat. And I had no other options other than to just cry out to God and just to beg him not to let me go back where I came from, and to lead and direct me, and just, he would have to take control of my life. And because my life was, I was 3.5 years sober, but my life all of a sudden seemed totally out of control. And when I turned it over to him, and you know, this sounds, to people that don't know the Lord, it might sound like, oh, that's a made up story. But I brought in the new year crying out to God, praying to him. And I fell asleep crying and praying. And the next morning when I woke up, January 1st of 1999, my mom had died on the 30th. I was out getting her urn on the 31st. My boyfriend left me. My roommates had all relapsed. My dad had died 3.5 years before. Now my mom's gone. And it was like a flood. I mean, my life as I knew it was gone. And so when I cried that prayer out and fell asleep, when I woke up the next morning, and I got to say this, fear covered every aspect of my life. From the time I was a little girl, being good enough, being liked, being smart enough, you know, all the fears, fear of economic insecurity, fear of everything. When I woke up January 1st of 1999, the fear that had been my constant companion throughout my life was gone. And I knew in my spirit that everything was going to be okay. I didn't know the details, but I just knew it was this, like, it's insane. It was nothing but God. He let me know that I was going to be okay. And then he started leading my path. Not to say that sometimes I wanted to hop off the path, but I got back on it pretty quickly. But there was a sense when I let that go, that God just let me know it's okay. I have you. And it wasn't audibly spoken, but I could feel it inside me, and that fear was gone. It's amazing.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing it. I'm just, as I was watching, I was thinking about the cast and the crew and working on this. And I don't know, Brett and Donna, if you have any stories of like other people on set with you guys, or how big the crew was, but like some of the conversations that were spurred possibly from working with this type of content every day. It's moving.
Well, I mean, yeah, my editors, my cameramen, I drove home with the cameraman every day, and we were just going, wow, that was unbelievable. Can you believe it? And my cameraman is an old friend of mine, and a good old friend of mine. And we were moved. I mean, there were times where we had to recompose ourselves to keep on going with some questioning, because it was such moving material. So yeah, we talked afterwards, and then when we bring in new people, like Donna hadn't been down there, and I said, you got to come down. You have to come down and meet some of these people. And then when she did, there's an incredible amount of good energy down there. That and the supply of it is it just keeps coming and coming and coming. That energy is being cultivated in that neighborhood by those people and by God. It's just there. You can tell.
Yeah.
And
feel it. You can feel it. I mean, I didn't, I wasn't on set often. I can probably count the days because I was behind the scenes, busy. But I remember specifically being in Bobby Joe and Mama Judy's house that day when we shot them in their big easy chairs. And there was some of the crew had been with us on other shoots. And then there was a couple people there that were new, that were just, what they call day playing, like just, coming for the day to help out, carry some sandbags and equipment and whatnot. And I remember we were sort of, as Brent was there on camera and Bobby Joe, Mama Judy were sitting there, we were sort of behind a wall. And I just remember this unbelievable presence of God in her home, and just being there and hearing this and watching the people the crew members respond to what was being said. It is overwhelming, and you do need to compose yourself and, kind of mop up your tears and, get back into the busy work of the details. But it's powerful work. It really is.
There's an incredible amount of humility, and that humility is energetic. I mean, it's like jet fuel. Being humble.
Yeah.
That being humble and lack of ego is where the power comes from. I mean, I truly believe that, and I witnessed it. What was fun is to talk to people about their transformations. I was trying to get that in everyone that I met. I said, can you tell us about coming from out of dark and into light was something that I wanted to try to capture. And a lot of people were they'd launch into it. And I'd go, well, boy, did I just ask a good question there, and they could describe it. And I seek that. I'm going to seek that as much as possible in my lifetime. I want to hear that from people. I want to hear their experience and strength and their hope. And I want people that have gone through something. I want to know how they've gotten through it, and
yeah,
a lot of good answers down there. I mean, and that's just wanting to share that. And that's their faith,
Yeah. And it's the power of the storytelling process, the meaning behind it is these people's stories. And like, it gives energy to others who are walking through the same path or a totally different path. Life is just hard for a lot of different types of people. And it was interesting, like some of the stats that were in that film, like 900 people in, recovery, and then only 30 beds available when they came out. And is that just about the Kansas City area, or was that's in Kansas City? Okay. And do you know if that's still where the numbers are at, or, I mean,
recovery housing for women has went up some, but it's still very outnumbered by men's housing. But we've caught up some since I started. I mean, there were only really 2 places that did it. And now it's become more of, more people doing it. But I'm so glad because, yeah, when I started, I did the research myself of how many women were going through inpatient treatment every year. And then how many safe beds, and it was overwhelming because 900 to 30. What is that about?
Yeah. And what is the number up to now of the number of properties? Because I know you were working on some at the end of the film. How many different buildings are you working with now?
We have, let's see here, 14 homes. We have a recovery community center. We have administrative building. We have a strip mall that we're redoing right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's 7 storefronts and 4 family apartments upstairs. We have a gym, and we're getting ready to do 4 more 3-bedroom family apartments above them. It's, it blows my mind. I've been so busy. I had the girls do a book for our open house a couple years ago, and I said, put the different houses in there. And when they did it, I was floored. I said, wow, when did all this happen? I've been so busy. I mean, I'm serious. I'm like, I've been so busy working that it was a whole booklet. And I'm like, this is amazing how good God is. And I've just been so busy doing the work. And, God doesn't speak to me audibly, but he speaks to my heart and my spirit. And he shows me what's next. So I believe it's around, we have 30 apartments currently. We'll have 34 by the end of the year, 14 homes, some commercial properties. And we're going to use those to start businesses for people. They can have job training and also viable parts of our community, stores that we really need, not cell phone stores or tattoo shops or vape stores. So again, bringing our community, restoring our community. So.
And I know we're getting towards the end here, and I just want to wrap up with a question about next steps. That was also another theme in the film, is taking the next right step. I heard multiple people say that. And I wonder, and this is a question for all 3 of you, as people step away from the screen and they go out into their lives, this film will obviously stick with them, and they're going to wonder what their next step is moving away from this. And after hearing this story, not everyone is in Kansas City. Obviously, a lot of our audience is here in LA. And so, and we in LA, there's a lot of people that are experiencing homelessness. And so it's right outside our doors as well. What would be something that you would want to impart to people as something that they could do in their own communities to start small and know that they can have a role to play?
I think everybody on the face of the earth can make a difference. I think we can make an impact. And so for me, the recovery housing and working with the women was mine. Not everybody's going to be the same. We know that. But we can always help somebody else. I tell the people that live here every day, because they'll say, they all call me mom. They'll be like, Mom, I don't know how to quote scripture, or I don't know how to do that. And I said, well, you do know how to smile and open a door, don't you? Or you do know how to help somebody carry something, or to escort an elderly lady across the street. It's just getting out of our comfort zone. Get out. How often do we drive by somebody, or we see somebody struggling, or even an elderly person in a parking lot, like me sometimes, trying to struggle to get dog food into the car or something? We get so busy with us that we forget what we're called to do. We're called help one another. And so, of course, you know, recovery housing is huge to me. But I think everybody has a purpose, and you just need to find it and know that you are called to do more with your life than just love the people in your circle. That's easy.
Yeah.
God wants more. He created us to do more. And so I believe that my hope is that just this sparks something in everyone's spirit that sees it to want to do more with what they've been blessed with. Brent, I'll give it to you.
I get to follow that.
Yeah, that's
You know what? It's just giving back. It's just give back to your fellow man. Do something for somebody else. If you're ever struggling, reach out and help somebody. You can get out of your head. You're not going to be struggling any longer because you're going to be helping somebody else. You'll be busy helping somebody else. So one of the best things I can do is, and I did with the film, was just stay busy trying to share this message with people and bring this message of hope to people. And I think the thing that's gotten most of the people out of the darkness that they were in is getting out of their head and getting in and helping other people, you know. And there's always hope. There's always hope. We can all come together and work on this problem together and not be separated by the hate and the anger. The solution is love.
Absolutely.
It's just love, man. You gotta love, even if you don't want to love it, you gotta love them, you know. And then you can help them out. Love your neighbor, help them out. Do what you can for others. I mean, that's what Donna's mom said when she finished watching the film. She was crying and she goes, "I got to do more. I got to do more." and you know what? I got to do more. And it's the key to happiness. And I watch Bobby Joe do it, and I watch everybody down there that's helping themselves. Well, how are they helping themselves? They're helping others.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah, it's so good. And I just love a lot of our audience, they're artists. And I love the fact that, Brent, by you doing your craft, you're showing that, even artists, because sometimes artists, I think we feel like we're like, oh, my work doesn't matter. I'm not as much involved. And it's like telling the story is also the work. And making the art is also the work, and writing the songs and singing the songs. And so it's just such an encouragement, not only the story and how it's so hands-on, Bobby Joe, but also, Brent, that you made it, and that through you following your calling as an artist, the story got a broader audience. And what a gift to all of us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
And I'll just leave you guys to wonder who brought Bobby Joe and I together to make this thing. How do you think that happened? I just moved here to Kansas City, and the Healing House is far away from where I live, but I camped out. Something happened, so
God might have been involved in that. I don't know.
Might have been involved.
I think so.
It just makes me so happy. I'm so far away from the heartland, and I miss Kansas City, and I'm so glad that you guys are there. And it just brings me so much joy to know that this is happening in my city, and send all my love.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Come visit. If you come back in town, come visit.
Oh, I will.
All right. Awesome.
And as the producer of the film, I would love to address your audience and just thank you guys again so much for watching the film. We're so excited that you got the opportunity to watch it before it goes to launches to the public tomorrow. So tell some people, we're just a little film. We don't have a huge marketing budget. Tell your friends, tell your family about this film. And because I do think that what we're trying to spread is the message of hope and the message of helping others and all of these things. And I think that we could all use more of that. So as the producer, I have to make that plug, but I just want to, I do.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you said it again. And if people, just as a reminder, you can go to thebobbyjoemovie.com for more info, and then mark it on your calendar tomorrow to share maybe on Facebook, so somebody else can watch the film when it comes out on February 16th. So
all right.
Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to chat.
So nice
Nice
to
to meet you.
Wonderful.
Bye, guys.
Bye.